Alright, so the first questions are just making sure that you know how to plug things in order of operations. So when you see negative c, make sure that you realize that's the opposite of that. So that's going to be a positive 4 plus the square root of. When you take b and square it, negative 2 squared is 4 plus d. Well, d is 0, so when you square it, you get 0. So I really have 4 plus the square root of 4, which is 4 plus 2, which is 6. So make sure you know what that negative c means. It means the opposite of c. And also be careful when you square anything, you make sure that if it's a negative, you're always still going to get that positive when you square it. Alright, number 2, I have a fraction, so I have 13 minus 3 times b. b is negative 2, so 3 times negative 2 is negative 6 over a times c. And I'm going to take 1 times negative 4, which is negative 4. So I would probably first realize what that fraction is. It's going to end up being a positive 3 halves. So 13 minus positive 3 halves, or 1.5. You can either think of it as decimal or fraction. If you think of it as a fraction, it would be 26 halves minus 3 halves. So you could think of 13 as 26 halves, so you would end up getting 23 halves. If you thought of it as a decimal, you'd take 13 minus 1.5, which would be 11.5. So either answer is fine. Alright, number 3, simplifying. I just wanted, after it's factored, for you to see if you can see what cancels out. So if you have an x minus 2 and an x minus 2 cubed, one of those is going to cancel out to be left with a squared on the bottom. If you have an x plus 1 squared and an x plus 1 to the third, 2 of those will drop out, so you'll be left to the first power, and that's all that cancels. So you're left with an x plus 1 on the top in the numerator, that x minus 5 in the numerator. Down here, that canceled, everything canceled but the x minus 2 squared. And you don't FOIL that out or anything, it's just making sure you saw what canceled. Same with this one, kind of deciding what cancels. First, you look at the numbers. Negative 2 over 6 reduces to negative 1/3. When you have a to the 5th divided by a to the 1st, one of those a's will cancel out, so you're left with an a to the 4th on top. You have a b to the 1st in the numerator, b to the 7th in the denominator, so one of those will cancel, but you're left with b to the 6th in the denominator. And then you have c to the 3rd and c squared. 2 of those will cancel out, so you'll be left with a c in the numerator. The other thing you might want to make sure you know is if there's negative exponents. So if you had something like, let's say, x to the negative 3rd over x to the 5th, make sure you realize this x to the negative 3rd means it's in the wrong place. It has to come down here. So when I see that x to the negative 3rd, I would bring it down to be x to the 3rd. So that would give me 1 over x to the 8th. So just so you know how to work with negative exponents, it just means you got to put them into the, if it's in the numerator, you put it in the denominator. If it's negative exponent in the denominator, you put it in the numerator. Just as kind of a side note with negative exponents. Okay, then I was just making sure in the next part that you know how to distribute and add like terms. So this one you distribute the 3. That's all we want you to do. Alright, same with this number 6. You want to distribute the negative 2x. Negative 14x to the 3rd minus 6x. Okay, so making sure you know how to multiply. When you have fractions, I'm looking to see that you see what simplifies. Now, if something's going to come out of this, it has to come out of all 3 terms. Everything in the numerator, which has 2 terms, and the 1 term in the denominator. So nothing is common to all of those. So really, as far as canceling anything out, I can't cancel anything out. The only thing I really could do is break it up into 2 fractions. So, you know, in this one, if you said does not simplify, I'm okay with that. But you could actually write it as 2 fractions. This simplifies to negative 3x to the 3rd. So you can simplify that fraction. And then this one doesn't cancel, it doesn't simplify, so you can leave it as plus 5 over 2x. And it was a plus because there's a negative 5 divided by negative 2x. So if you wrote that, that's fine. If you said that does not simplify, that's fine. Number 8, this one does have an x common to all of those. So really what you do is you take the x out of the numerator, factor it out. So you're left with negative 6x to the 3rd plus 7. And then you can see that this x will cancel out. Because remember, this down here means negative 3 times x. So the x will cancel out. So it does simplify into negative x, 6x to the third plus 7 over negative 3. Okay, so when you see that something's common to all of them, you can't factor it out. And as long as you're doing that multiplication, now it cancels. Okay, and then 9 through 12, I was just looking to see if you knew some of the properties that we have in algebra. So looking at this, I want to know, is that equivalent to that equation? So all I need to do is say, okay, what would I do to this to get it to be y equals? I divide both sides by 2. So if I divided by 2, I would get y, I would get x, but I wouldn't get 3, I'd get 3 halves. So is that a valid statement? No, it's not. 10, looking to see if you simplify the fraction. So looking at that again, I would think of this as taking AB over A plus C over A. This does reduce to B, but then I'm left with C over A. So no, that is not valid. Okay, so just work with that one side and see what you would get if you would try to simplify it to see if you get B plus C, and you don't. This one looks like we need to do a little distributing. So I'm going to get negative 6m squared. I'm going to get plus 3m. Is that equivalent to 3m minus 6m squared? Yes, it is. Those are the same thing, even though they're different order. They have a positive 3m and a negative 6m squared. So yes, it is. And then the last one, a square root of a squared plus b squared. Remember, if it was square root of a plus b quantity squared, I could say that equals a plus b. And technically, it would equal the absolute value of a plus b, because when I take the square root of something, it has to be positive. But that isn't equivalent to this. A plus b squared, quantity squared, is not a squared plus b squared. Remember, this would be a squared plus 2ab plus b squared. If I had that, I could say that was equal to the absolute value of a plus b. Whoops. So just so you realize, order of operations says no, you can't do that. So I don't really care how you explain it. I just want to make sure you know that that is not true, that this does not equal that. Okay. The next page, the first ones, I'm just seeing if you can multiply again. So if I take and use FOIL that out, I'll get 2m squared minus m, and then I'll get 6m minus 3. So when I add like terms, I get 2m squared plus 5m minus 3. 14, FOIL again, you get negative 6a squared, you get a positive 4a, you get a 15a, and you get a negative 10. So negative 6a squared plus 19a minus 10. With this one, I wanted to make sure you see that you square this first before you distribute the 3. So it's 3 times whatever 2b minus 1 is times itself. And so when I FOIL that out, I'm going to get 4b squared. For my middle term, I'll just do this all in one step. I get negative 2b and another negative 2b. So I get negative 4b, and then negative 1 times negative 1 is positive 1. So I get 12b squared minus 12b plus 3. This one is making sure you can cube a binomial. So you first have to square it. You have to take a plus 2 times a plus 2. Figure out what a plus 2 squared is. That will be a squared. I'll do that over here. A squared plus 4a plus 4. A squared plus 4a plus 4. But remember, that's only a plus 2 squared, so I'm going to multiply it by an a plus 2 again. So now I have to do a little bit of distributing. I probably have to kind of show my steps there. I'm going to get a to the third plus 4a squared plus 4a. If I distribute the 2, I'm going to get 2a squared. I'm going to get 8a and 8 plus 8. So I put all those together, a to the third, 6a squared, 12a and plus 8. Okay, and then I put all them together. So make sure you do it you can only multiply 2 binomials at a time. 17, if I distribute that, I'll get c to the third minus 5c squared plus 25c. And then distribute the 5c squared minus 25c plus 125. And if you notice, this is actually the formula for the sum of cubes. If I started with the sum of cubes and factored it, I'd factor it into c plus 5, c squared minus 5c plus 25. So that makes sense that those would cancel out. All right, 18. Distributing that, I get 4x to the third, 20xz, negative 3x squared y. It doesn't really matter the order you write those in. And then negative 15yz. Can't put any of those together. None of those are like terms. All right, and then we'll try to get through these. When I saw square root of x squared, remember I can square both sides. I get x over here equals 16. This one, to undo the square, I need to take the square root, but don't forget the plus or minus. There's two answers to this because of the squared. So I get x equals plus or minus 9. So when you take the square root, remember that x squared tells you there's two answers. This one I cube, and I'm going to get x equals negative 8. This one, I don't know if I'm going to be able to have time to finish. Maybe I'll start this on the next video, because that's going to take me a little bit longer. So I will start number 22 on the next video.